Hey guys, so today's video is going to be about how to come out of the struggle, how to live a better life. I didn't say a perfect life. I didn't say a pure of no problems, but a better life. And three things you have to do, young people. All right, those of you know me know I love young people. I've spent the last 30 years of my life trying to be unofficially a coach or mentor. Have never received money, asked for money for doing it, but I've genuinely did and try to pour my heart and soul into um, helping young people live, go get in a better path. And why? Because I've seen so many young people that are bright people, young men and young women, bright people, had goals, had mission in life, had objectives, wanted to go places in life. But three things I saw that caused them became such huge stumbling blocks in their lives. I'm talking about young people that were, again, had goals, right in school, wanted to go places in life, wanted they wanted something out of life that was clean, legal, good, good for them, good for the society. But three blockbusters, ghostbusters, I call them, or dream busters is probably better word I want to use. One, social drinking. I would ask you guys, do not start social drinking. Why? I've met many, 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 many thousands. And if you don't believe me, the statistics are all there. But even in my community, I have known some of the brightest young people, men and women, that had goals, wanted to go places in their life. But I'm telling you, social drinking, their first drink, where they thought was just a drink, just kind of socializing, just trying to fit in. Um, then 20, 30 years later, they were still have their first drink, but that first drink had led to um, the first drink for that day, or for that morning, or for that before they went to bed, who had now then reached an addiction point. And you might say, and I might say, and everybody might say, oh, it doesn't mean because you drink alcohol that you become an alcoholic. Absolutely not. There is thousands and millions of people that drink alcohol socially and they're not an alcoholic. That's a fact. But I tell myself that I have lost and seen so many great young people and young men and women that had great goals in life. And I'm telling you, when more problems hit in life, they then resorted to more social drinking, or I need to de-stress, or oh, I need to have a wind down. And they use alcohol. And regrettably, many of them lost their marriages because of it. They lost their children because of it. They lost their driver's license. So don't play with something that has such a huge risk of interrupting your flow, of being a dream buster. All right. Um, Now, of course, a lot of people do not want me to say it, but I will say it because, again, there is millions of hundreds of thousands and um, dozens of great people that I know on my island that just started out socially drinking and they became an alcoholic. And as if to say alcohol was bad enough, a lot of times it moved from alcohol to weed. All right. And if you think alcohol and weed was bad enough, and a lot of times it moved to harder stuff. Yeah. So I'm gonna just encourage you, please. Try to stick with my notes here. Those are three points that really, like I said, are dream busters. Do not start. And there's so many people that say, "Oh, weed is not bad for you, and TLC is not bad for you," and that I also know many at leading her seniors now and 60 years old. I've went to school with so many young men that were friends of ours, and they just became addicted to weed. And here I'm gonna hear all the naysayers again. Oh yeah, it doesn't mean that it's you can become addicted, but all the studies show, it's not my opinion, all the studies show that when young people start smoking or drinking before the age of 25, they are higher risk for mental illness. And then we wonder where all this mental illness is coming from, all suicide. A lot of it is because, again, because the studies have shown that if you start doing this before your brain is fully developed, and they said your brain is fully developed, usually around 25. If you start doing this before your brain fully develops, you're at higher risk for mental illness and I would say, I didn't see that study, but I would say even higher risk for addiction, because you're then so dependent as a young age of being dependent on something to take you through life. To when the hurts of boyfriend, girlfriend happens, then you're looking for something else to give you a crutch or to help you escape the pain, whether it's molestation, whether it's parents divorce, whether it's a broken heart from a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, right? When you start at a young age and you're using that thing, whether it's alcohol, weed, whatever it was, to help you cope, then you're growing into your growing years using a crutch, using something to help you through life. And again, we all know that teenage life can be very difficult. It's where people a lot of times get a lot of peer pressure. A lot of kids are exposed to molestation, pornography, drinking, abandoned by their parents. So it can, and then they're going through puberty and all these body changes, and they're getting peer pressure. So it can be, teenage life can be a very difficult time for trying to maneuver yourself through life. So if you use alcohol or weed or any drug to help you during that time, again, studies have shown that you're far more at risk for mental illnesses and stuff like the bipolar, schizophrenia, um, whatever, right? During when your brain is not developed. So I watch governments around the world and my country talk about like, oh, we need more mental institutions, or we need more um, this one, that one, halfway house, and all this stuff. But they're not saying what is the cause. We're seeing suicide also at an all-time high. We're not talking about how many people have reached that point of addiction that makes them then want to try suicide. Yeah. So, I mean, sorry, that have committed suicide, that because of a lot of times they're depressed because they know they already have an addiction problem and they want to stop, but it's difficult. So the drugs a lot of times have set in, cause the depression. And so you wonder why again. Like I said, I think governments need to be honest and truthful to our people, or anybody in leadership position. Let's be truthful, honest to our people. Like, what is causing so much of depression and anxiety? What is causing so much of the want for suicide? And a lot, statistics have shown over and over and over again what happens to a young person when they start drinking and using drugs at a young age, or smoking weed. Some of them just think it's uh, okay or it's cool to even say smoking weed. All this stuff about how weed can help you and all that stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen my video that we did there on Mr. Brent Heights, where he told about his journey and how it started, how the um, drug use and addiction started. So hopefully you guys have seen that video. If not, DM me and I can send it to you. And then lastly, guys, another dream buster. You guys may not believe this, and you guys may not, because most of you guys are young, and hopefully this content is used at churches, at youth groups, whatever. Because again, I have been for the last 30 years or more of my life trying to invest time into mentoring young people. Again, I came from a huge family, and I see how many family and friends their lives were so disrupted. I watch them be wishing they could die, depressed, and all that, because a lot of times they had reached a point of addiction with alcohol and drugs, and they wanted out of life. They wanted to stop, but they were so addicted, right? Um, One thing I will tell you, though, guys, I didn't plan to put it into this video, but I will. I was going to make a separate video with it, but I will tell you, for anyone that's addicted, Jesus Christ is an answer. He can help you guys. You must have a why you want to give it up. To be successful, if you are trying to be a Christian and use religion or salvation to give up addiction, you also got to know that you also want to have a reason, a why, that you truly want to stop. the drug use and alcohol use. You really got to have a why to continue to be successful in staying off of drugs and alcohol. Yeah. Again, yes, you can come to Jesus, and yes, because he's ready and willing and able to help you. But you got to have enough desire and want to in your heart to keep on a Christian path. And when God helps you and delivers you from that addiction, you're going to have to want to stay sober and to live a better life. Yeah. For it to be successful. And then also in the prayer, you can also ask him, take away your desire. I know a grandmother that prayed. She prayed that her child and her grandchildren that was using it would get so sick every time they use it. So yeah, ask God to take away the desire when you do this. Lastly, so the third one, least but not at all less, but actual one of the most important ones, this is as important as alcohol, is sex, guys. Sex. Yeah, you heard me right. Sex. I also have met some brilliant young girls, brilliant. And again, I have been doing youth work for the last 30 something years. I've met so many young ladies who, one of them I know very well. She was like, Miss Jackie, I want to start investing. I want to, get into stocks and bonds and all that. But she had a boyfriend much older than her, and she was going a lot of times alone with the boyfriend. Next thing you know, she got pregnant. She had kids, and today the money she makes of $2,500 a month is not working. That hardly gives her any money to invest, because even though the father still supports his children, she has diapers, she has food, she has a helper to pay until they can go to school, 3, 4 years old, whenever that happens, 3 or 4. Of course, government funded schools that taxpayers have to. I think part of why government heard and put that 3 year where they can go into preschool from 3 years old. I truly believe because of so many little children, that was where a lot of parents couldn't afford to put them in a preschool, and so they needed. So government put on the government reception class, they call it. I think a lot of that was to try to catch those little children who needed to be in a formal structured education system, but a lot of parents couldn't afford to pay a helper. They couldn't afford to pay a nanny or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So I would strongly say to you guys again, don't go it alone. I don't, as girls and boys, even if you're a young man, you don't have to listen to a bit of advice I said. What I will tell you is, again, there is young people who have real goals for their life, but they again get involved sexually and they become a father at a young age. And the Cayman Islands, cost of living is high. So why make life any more difficult? You have a teenager as a mother or father. Where's the child going to go? Then the child has to go with the mother, the mother's grandmother's house. The young man has to go take it to his father's or mother's house. He doesn't have the young people without, even if you're 20 years old, you do not have a home, and you have to bring a child into the world. That compounds it even. That can break your generational wealth. That can keep you poor. That can keep you paycheck to paycheck for a long time, guys. Because once you go to the bank, and then of course one of the first things they ask you is, do you have any dependents? And you're making $2,500, and then you have a child to support. Then that the bank looks at what's your income and what's your expenses. Okay, and when you have to put diapers, food, milk, and pay a babysitter, nanny, helper, whatever you call it, till you get home from work, guys, that throws you way down the ladder of getting qualified from through a bank for a home. And yet people say, oh yeah, I must have a child in a house because I don't have a home. No, that is senseless, guys. That is senseless. It doesn't make sense. Because nowadays what some of the sensible people are doing is buying a piece of land together. They don't have to be in a romantic relationship. It could be two guys, two girls, a guy and a boy, and they buy a home together. And I'm sorry, either home together, 2 bedroom, and act as housemates or roommates. That's one. Or buy a piece of land and build it together. Thankfully, in Cayman now, a lot of 8,000 square foot lots now you can do a duplex on. So even though the lots may be 160,000, but if two people go by that, that's 80,000 each person. And then again, you can do a duplex. So that's the way a lot of young people are going about this, guys, of owning their home. All right, just gave you guys $1 million tip that a lot of people don't. So I'm going to encourage you guys. And I know a lot of young girls that did not mean they weren't ready to be mothers yet, and they didn't plan to. I know a lot of young men that are not ready to. There's no home, there's no marriage, there's no structure, and they're becoming daddies, right? Do you know the amount of crime and hardship and struggle that poses? And I say crime because so many of these little children, the mom and dad is broke up, there's no more relationship, and the child a lot of time is left when the mama should be taking care of him. She's thinking the daddy is, when the daddy should be, oh, he was supposed to be at his mom's, and the kids are falling prey to the streets. Okay, and becoming very much a risk and a menace to society, because the street is left where there's no structure is left to be their mom and their daddy, and to groom them and to make them feel loved. So what how I would strongly encourage you as young people how not to get in sexually. I wish I had somebody tell me this as a young age. I had good Christian parents, thankfully, and they were very strict, and I'm glad they were. It kept me from a lot, guys. Kept me from a whole lot. And so for any of you who are rebelling against strict parents, let me let you know that a lot of times you get my age, many like my sisters and brothers, like we were just kind of happy that our parents were strict, you know. So I will strongly tell you, a lot of you guys have got your car. A lot of you guys, your parents can't watch you anymore. You could know after 18, you're working. A lot of people got their home. Your boyfriend is sleeping over, guys. Sex gonna happen. Sex gonna happen, and then babies happen out of sex a lot of times. If you're going out, he's picking you up, she's picking you up, and you go in one car and say, let's go to dinner. Go to a public place, go drive separate cars. It's Saturday night, and you're not going to Sunday school next morning. He's inviting you to his house, she's inviting you to her house. Yes, when you do that, you're setting yourself up for sex. Nobody may be there. Maybe you have your own home, or maybe people is there, but you're going up in the bedroom and you're thinking, hey, hold on. Just know that that can upset your well flow very, very much. All right, so hopefully that made a good impact, and hopefully those tips made sense. Thank you.